I have a question for you this morning. How much does the Lord require of you, of me, of any Christian? How much does the Lord require from us?
Everything.
Well, we say everything. Some of y'all are, yeah, I agree with that. But sometimes we ask ourselves, in doubt, can God use me? Again, I hear yes, and I see the head going up and down. Okay? We're on the right track. Okay? Some of us may say, as a poor excuse, I don't have much to give. Have you ever said that? Yeah. Probably most, if not all of us, has said that at one time or another. How? What do I do? When? When, Lord? You ever asked Him that? You've been waiting and waiting and waiting for the Lord to use you, and you're like, what's up? What's wrong? Where? Lord, where do you want me to go? Deepest, darkest Africa. Go. China. Go. Russia. Go. My favorite. Alaska. Go. I'm here. Let's review a little bit from last week. Remember we talked about Jesus and the feeding of the 5,000? And really, if we looked at it, we said it was probably around 15,000. By the time, 5,000 was just counting the men, but the women, the wives, the children, all that. There were a lot of folks to feed. And Jesus asked His disciples, how are we going to do it? And one of the disciples said, well, we can't feed them, send them home. It's going to cost a year's wage just to be able to feed these folks. We can't afford it. Send them home. But the Lord had a plan. In John chapter 6, verses 8 and 9, this is a review from last week. Andrew, the brother of Simon Peter, was one of the disciples. He spoke up and said, hey, there's this boy here who has 5 small loaves of barley bread and 2 fishes. Well, what good is that to feed all of these people? Well, as I was studying this week, I looked at the bread and the fishes. What do you think about the fishes? Do you think it was like trout about that big, and there were 2 fillets, and they were nicely cooked and just warm, and steam was coming off of? Maybe it was breaded and fried and just wonderful tasting. No. They said more than likely it was like a sardine. about yay big, yay wide. And my imagination says it was probably dry. Head and all. Now, the bread was described as a very poor man's bread. Didn't taste that good. It wasn't the best. You know, we go to the store and we buy bread, and what's the first thing we normally do? Yeah, we see if it's fresh. Even though we may be buying the cheap brand, the less than $1 a loaf, okay? We just go along, we squeeze it, make sure it's fresh, and now we'll find another one, and we find one that's good. But the little boy had this food, his lunch, okay, and it wasn't probably that wonderful. But he was brought to Jesus, and the boy offered what he had. It wasn't the best tasting. Some of us have gone to family meals, and have you ever tasted something? It's like, have you ever had that experience before? Or have you come to a church fellowship? Everybody brings food, and oh, it looks good. It's not that good. But it was brought with good intentions to offer it to all of us. You know, that's what this boy did. He offered his lunch to Jesus. Now you may think, well, it's not enough. 2 fish, 5 loaves? It's not enough. Now, the loaves, we're not talking big loaves of it. We're just, you know. How many of you have gone to Texas Roadhouse and eaten there? How many of you enjoy their bread? Oh, yeah. It wasn't that. Trust me. Okay? They would kill for that. This was the worst, poorest bread that was available. It's time to wake up, Lisa. Don't drop anything. And yes, that's on film. It will be on YouTube by this afternoon. And you lost. But I need to hurry because we need to understand that there's no person too small. God can use anyone in His plan. He already knows who you are, what you can do, what you can't do. There's no obstacle too big for God. I know when I went to Russia back in the 90s, we had to raise money. I think it was like around $3,000 or something like that. I sent out a lot of letters saying, help me go to Russia. The Lord took care of it. Okay? There's nothing too hard for the Lord. This little boy, small, offered what he had. There was no obstacle. And it wasn't too hard for Jesus to tell the disciples, pass out the food. I'm sure they're thinking, right. Okay. So they started to pass it out and pass it out and pass it out, and pass it out, and pass it out. And it went on, and went on, and went on, and went on. By the time they finished passing out the food to all of the people, they gathered together all of the scraps and had enough for the disciples. Jesus took care of what needed, of what was needed. So you have to ask yourself, is there anything too much for God? No. See, we come to church, we'll sit out in the pew, we'll listen to the sermon, the encouraging, heart-thrilling, let's do it, let's go, the motivation, everybody, yeah. And then when we get done, we get out to the car, no. Even though we know that God can use anyone, anything, anyhow, anywhere, He has the ability to do that. And I've heard the excuse, the poor excuse, but I'm deaf. And? Well, I don't know sign. Jim Bob, I'm sure, said that about a year ago. And if you watch him, occasionally, you'll see him dancing. Maybe not. But you'll see him signing a little bit. Learning. See, all of that, Jesus can do. There's nothing too much for Jesus. He can use all of it. You come to church, comes time for the offering, all I have is 50 cents. God can use that. You'd be surprised. See, what did we say last week? And you'll have to use your curvy brain. But we said Jesus has a plan for you. Me. All of us. We don't know where it's going to lead. We don't know what we're going to be doing. Here pretty soon we're going to start planning our hunger buster. Planning, getting ready, collecting what we need for that. And some of you say, well, I can't do anything. Can you cook? Well, yeah. Come on down. Can you put it on a plate? Yeah. Come on down. Can you fill up a cup? Yeah. Come on down. You don't have to wear the white chef's hat to be involved in what we're going to be doing on the last Saturday of the month starting in January. But I've got 4 kids, 5 kids at home, almost 6 kids at home. What am I going to do with them? Bring them. I'm sure Erica, Brianna, Andre would love to help serve. Maybe even set up. And Linda saying, yeah, right. You don't have to watch them. They will destroy the church. They haven't yet. But that's my only day off. And kind of an excuse is that? What do I have that Jesus can use? See, that's the interesting part. We have no idea what Jesus can use. I saw William's truck today. It's a new truck. He just went to Dallas to get it and bring it down. Well, it's not new like 2015, 2016. It's a 2002. But it's new for him. But I saw it and I'm like, whoa! That's yellow. I mean, it's yellow. You can see it coming and you can see it going. It's like a banana going down the road. Can God use that? Yes. The thing we need to remember is that Jesus just wants to use you. Just give it to Jesus. That's all you have to do. The boy gave Jesus the fish and the loaves. He gave him his lunch. That's what was required of the boy. Now, he didn't have to. We say required, but he didn't have to. He could have said, mine. But you know what? What was given to Jesus, he used. Jesus did the rest. He took what was given to him and he multiplied it tremendously. All we have to do is give him what we have, no matter how much it is. The fun part is how he can and will use it. Like going down to Galveston on a mission trip. Now, some of you are going to look at that $100 and say, wow, I just can't afford it. I'm in the same boat. But I'm planning to go. There's 8 months between now and then, roughly. That's about $12 a month to put away, to go. Where can you go for 5 days, 5 nights on the beach in sunny South Texas for $100? You can't. See, all you have to do is offer yourself, and God's going to use you in different ways. You may be involved in the Backyard Bible Club or a VBS. You may be involved in walking the beach, handing out water, witnessing to people. Oh, I can't witness to people. I never have. Guess what? It's time to start. Some of you have been at the starting gate. It's lifted. Everybody else is going, and you're standing there. Go ahead. Go ahead. It's time to give God ourselves. Just like this Financial Peace University. I'm excited about that. I don't know what it's going to lead to But I know as I read the information that they have for their advertising, within 3 months you're going to be saving about $8,000. I don't know how. I haven't been through the course. But what can I do with $8,000? Gloria, what can we do with $8,000? She's going to say spend it.
No. A lot.
But you know, if we just take a part of that, and use it for the church, give it to the church. I know Lisa would be happy as she writes out the checks every month. I know we would be happy because we'd be able to do more. But there's a lot of things that we can do and need to be doing with our, I don't have time. I've got 5 kids at home. I've got 1 adult and a granddaughter at home. I go to school. I work. I prepare. I study. I do all these things. So can you. Giving up of your time. Remember, it is your time to give up. Nobody else's. I can't say, God, guess what? You get to study for me this week, okay? You really study hard for me. I want to make an A. That doesn't work so well. What can you give to God to use? You'll be surprised, just as this little boy was when he offered his lunch. He fed all of these people who saw the miracle that Jesus did. Every single one. What about you? Are you ready to give it to God? Regardless what it is, are you ready to give it to God? Let's stand for